Welcome dear student and Jai Swaminarayan. Today in this video we will discuss the exercise of the chapter number 9, force and the laws of the motion. So dear student, let us start with the exercise question number 1. Question number 1. An object experiences a net zero external unbalanced force. An object experiences a net zero external unbalanced force. Is it possible for the object to be traveling with a non-zero velocity? Is it possible for the object to be traveling with the non-zero velocity? If yes, state the conditions that must be placed on the magnitude and the direction of the velocity, and if no, provide a reason. So dear student, here when the object experiences a non-zero external unbalanced force, is it possible for the object to traveling with the non-zero velocity? Yes, it is possible to traveling a object with the non-zero velocity, right? So answer is a yes. Even when an object experiences a net zero external unbalanced force, it is possible that the object is traveling with a non-zero velocity, right? So when the object experiences a non-zero external unbalanced force, it is possible that the object is traveling with the non-zero velocity. This is possible only when the object has been moving with the constant velocity in a particular direction. ये तब भी पॉसिबल है जब ऑब्जेक्ट कांस्टेंट वेलोसिटी से मूव कर रहा होता है. सो दिस इज पॉसिबल ओनली when the object has moving with the constant velocity in the particular direction, or we can say that it is possible only when the object is moving in a with a constant velocity, that means in a uniform motion. So when the motion of the object is a uniform motion, the object is traveling with the non-zero velocity, right? While it experiences the net external unbalanced force. So then there is a no net unbalanced force applied on the body. The object will keep moving with the non-zero velocity. So when there is no external force applied on the body, the object is moving with the constant velocity, right? According to the Newton's first law, if the resultant force, net external force acting on the object is zero, right, the object retain its position of a rest, or its a position of the uniform motion. It's a state of the uniform motion. So here dear student, when the object is moving with the constant velocity, uniform speed, if the resultant external force is zero, right, the object keep continue to moving with that non-zero velocity. To change the state of the motion, a net non-zero external unbalanced force must be applied on the object. Until and unless if it doesn't apply any external force on the object maintain its a state of the rest, or it's a state of the uniform motion. So dear student, here if the object experience a net zero external unbalanced force, it is possible for the object is traveling with the non-zero velocity. The object is traveling with the constant velocity. Understand the answer of the first question? Now, question number 2. Question number 2. When a carpet is beaten with a stick, dust comes out of it. Explain. So dear student, we know that when the carpet is beat with the stick, right, dust comes out from the carpet. So why it is possible? Explain it this statement, right? So dear student, here due to the inertia of the object, due to the inertia of the object tends to resist any change its a state of the rest or state of the motion. So dear student, inertia, you know that. What do you mean by the inertia? Inertia is the measure of the mass, measurement of the mass, and due to the inertia of the object tends to resist any change, tends to oppose any change in its a state, right? So when the carpet is beaten with a stick, the carpet comes in the motion, but the dust particle try to resist their state of the rest, right? So when the carpet is beaten with the stick, when we applying a force on the carpet, right, the carpet comes in the motion, but due to the inertia of the dust particle try to oppose their state of the rest, and according to the Newton's first law of the motion, the dust particles stay in the state of the rest while the carpet moves. Hence the dust particle comes out of the carpet, right? Understand? So inertia of the body plays an important role. Inertia of the body, what do you mean by the inertia? Inertia of the object is a property that try to resist, that try to oppose the change in its state. Now dear student, question number 3. Why is it advised to tie any luggage kept on the roof of the bus with a rope? Right? Dear student, we know that when we place a luggage on the roof of the bus, it will be tied with the rope. Right? Why it is advised to tie with the rope? Now, what is the answer of this question? When the bus accelerates and moves forward, it acquires a state of the motion. So when the bus starts moving in a forward direction, it it acquires the state of the motion. So bus starts from the rest condition to the motion. Now, however, the luggage kept on the roof with its inertia tends to remain in its state of the rest. Due to the inertia of the luggage kept on the roof, right, it tends to remain in its state of the rest. And due to this, right, with the forward movement of the bus, the luggage tends to remain at its original position and ultimately falls from the roof of the bus, right? So due to the inertia of the luggage tends to resist its position of the rest, and due to this, when the bus moves in the forward direction, right, the luggage falls from the roof of the bus, and to avoid this, it is advised to tie any luggage kept on the roof of the bus with a rope. Now, question number 4. A batsman hits a cricket ball which then rolls on a level ground. After covering a short distance, a ball comes to the rest. The ball slows to a stop because a batsman did not hit the ball hard enough. A velocity is proportional to the force exerted on the ball. There is a force on the ball opposing the motion, and there is a no unbalanced force on the ball, so the ball would want to come to the rest, right? So dear student, we know that when the batsman hits the ball rolls over a level ground. After covering a short distance, it comes to the rest. Why it comes to the rest? You know that. Why it comes to the rest? Because of the friction force acting on the ball. And due to the friction force between the cricket ball, and the ground, the motion of the ball is opposed, right? So there is an friction force exerted on the ball opposing the motion, and due to this friction force, the cricket ball comes to the rest after covering a short distance, right? So here the answer is a C. There is a force on the ball opposing the motion. And which type of the force opposing the motion of the ball? Friction force, right? A batsman hit a cricket ball which then rolls on a level ground. After covering a short distance, the ball comes to the rest because there is a friction force on the ball opposing its motion. The friction force is always act in the direction opposite to the direction of the motion, and this friction force is responsible for the ball comes to the rest. Question number 5. A truck starts from the rest and rolls down a hill with a constant acceleration. A truck starts from the rest, that means initial velocity of the truck is 0, and rolls down a hill with a constant acceleration. It is travels a distance of the 400 meter in a 20 second. Truck travel a distance of a 400 meter in a 20 second. Find its acceleration and find the force acting on it if its mass is a 7 metric ton. 1 metric ton is 1000 kg. So 7 metric ton is equal to 7000 kg. So here the mass of the truck is a 7000 kg. The truck travel a distance of a 400 meter in a 20 second, right? Initial velocity of the truck is a 0. So dear student, here first of all, the initial velocity of the truck u will be 0 because the truck starts from the rest. That means initial velocity u is equal to 0 meter per second. A truck travels a 400 meter distance in a 20 second. So time taken to travel a distance 400 meter t is equal to 20 second, and distance traveled by the truck is a 400 meter. Now how we can calculate the acceleration? So according to the second equation of the motion, distance s is equal to ut plus 1 half at square. Here the s is a distance, u is the initial velocity, t is the time, a is the acceleration. So distance traveled by the truck is a 400 meter. So 400 is equal to initial velocity u 0 multiplied by t 20, right, plus 1 half a, t is a 20 square. So 0 multiplied by 20, it is a 0. So cancel out, right? So we get a 400 is equal to 200 a, because 20 square is a 400 divided by 2, we get a 200. So 400 is equal to 200 a. So from that the acceleration a is equal to 2 meter per second square. So dear student, understand how we calculate the acceleration from the second equation of the motion, right? The distance is given to you, initial velocity is given to you, and time is given to you. We can easily calculate the acceleration from the second equation of the motion. S is equal to ut plus 1 half at square. So we get the acceleration a is equal to 2 meter per second square. Now here the mass of the truck is given to you 7 metric ton. That means a 7000 kg, right? So force F is equal to mass into acceleration. According to the Newton's second law, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So mass is given to you 7000 kg and acceleration we get a 2 meter per second. So we get a force is a 14,000 Newton, right? So dear student, understand this example, how we can calculate the acceleration and the force acting on the truck, right? Now, question number 6. Question number 6. A stone of a 1 kg is thrown with a velocity of the 20 meter per second across the frozen surface of a lake and comes to the rest after traveling a distance of the 50 meter, right? What is the force of the friction between the stone and the ice, right? A stone of a mass 1 kg thrown with the velocity 20 meter per second across the frozen surface of the lake and comes to the rest after traveling a 50-meter distance. So here the initial velocity of the stone u is equal to 20 meter per second, and it comes to the rest after traveling a distance 50 meter. So distance covered by the stone s is equal to 50 meter, and it comes to the rest. That means a final velocity of the stone v is equal to 0. Right? Now what is the force of the friction between the stone and the ice? So here we need to calculate the first acceleration A, and then according to the Newton's second law, force is equal to mass into acceleration. So how we can calculate the acceleration? So according to the third equation of the motion, v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So from that we can calculate the A acceleration, where A is the acceleration. So here the initial final velocity v is a 0. So we put 0 square is equal to initial velocity u is a 20. So we get a 20 square plus 2 into A into distance traveled by the car is a 50. So from this, if you calculate the acceleration, A is equal to minus 4 meter per second square. Here the acceleration negative. So this negative sign indicates that the acceleration is acting against the motion of the stone, right? And due to this acceleration, the motion of the stone will be decreases. The velocity of the stone will be decreases, and after traveling a distance of a 50 meter, it comes to the rest. So dear student, here we get the acceleration A is equal to 4 meter per second square, minus 4 meter per second square. The negative sign indicates that the acceleration is acting against the motion of the stone. Now the mass of the stone is given to you 1 kg, right? So from the Newton's second law, the force F is equal to mass into acceleration. F is equal to m into A. So we get F is equal to mass 1 kg into acceleration, we get minus 4. So we get a minus 4 Newton. So here the force acting on the stone is a minus 4 Newton, and this force is a friction force. This opposes the motion of the stone. So the force of the friction between the stone and the ice is a 4 Newton. This negative sign indicates that the force opposes the motion of the stone. Now dear student, question number 7. A 8,000 kg engine pulls a train of a 5 wagons, each of a 2000 kg, along a horizontal track. If the engine exerts a force of a 40,000 Newton and a truck offers a friction force of a 5,000 Newton, then calculate first net accelerating force, the acceleration of the train, and the force of the wagon 1 on the wagon 2. So dear student, here a 8,000 kg engine pulls a train of a 5 wagon, each of a 2000 kg, along a horizontal track. If the engine exerts a force of a 40,000 Newton and the truck offers a friction force of a 5,000 Newton, then calculate the accelerating force. First one is the accelerating force, second acceleration of the train, and third one is the force on the wagon 1 on a wagon 2. So question number 1 is how we can calculate the accelerating force. So here the force exerted by the engine is given to a 40,000 Newton, and the friction force offered by the truck F is equal to 500 Newton. Dear student, we know that the friction force and the external force is opposite to each other. So the net accelerating force is equal to the net external force 40,000 minus friction force 5,000. We get the answer 35,000 Newton. So dear student, here the net accelerating force is a 35,000 Newton. Now second one is the acceleration of the train. So how we can calculate the acceleration of the train? The engine exert a force of the 40,000 Newton on all the 5 wagons, and the net accelerating force on the wagons is a 35,000 Newton, right? So how we can calculate first mass of the train? The mass of the wagon M is the mass of the one wagon multiplied by number of the mass. Here mass of each wagon is a 2000 kg and the number of wagons is a 5. So total mass is equal to 2000 multiplied by 5. We get the 10,000 kg, right? Now the total mass M is equal to 10,000 kg plus mass of the engine 8,000. So the total mass including the mass of the engine capital M is equal to 18,000 kg. Now force, net accelerating force is a 35,000 Newton, right? So according to the Newton's second law, acceleration A is equal to force divided by mass. Force is a 35,000 Newton divided by mass is a 18,000. We get the acceleration 1.944 meter per second square. We can say that approximately 2 meter per second square. Now question number 3. What we want to calculate? The force of the wagon 1 on wagon 2. So how we can calculate the force on the wagon 1 on wagon 2? So dear student, here the mass of 4 wagons including a wagon 1 is a 8,000 kg because the each wagon has a mass 2000. 4 wagon has a mass 2000 multiplied by 4. We get the 8,000 kg and the acceleration of the train is a 1.944 meter per second square. So the force of a wagon 1 on a wagon 2 is equal to m into a, mass 8,000 multiplied by acceleration 1.944. We get a 15,552 Newton. So dear student, understand how to calculate this all the 3 questions given in a question number 7, right? Now question number 8. An automobile vehicle has a mass of a 1500 kg. What must be the force between the vehicle and the road if the vehicle is to be stopped with a negative acceleration of the 1.7 meter per second square? So here dear student, the mass of the vehicle is given to you 1500 kg, right? 1500 kg, and the acceleration we require a 1.7 meter per second. What will be the force? So according to the Newton's second law of the motion, force F is equal to mass into acceleration. Mass 1500 multiplied by acceleration minus 1.7. Why we take a minus 1.7? Because here due to the acceleration the vehicle must be able to stop, right? So 1500 multiplied by 1.7, we get the minus 2550 Newton, 2550 Newton. So force between the automobile and the road is a 2550 Newton in the direction opposite to the motion of the automobiles, right? So mass is given to you, acceleration is given to you, right? So according to the Newton's second law, force is equal to mass into acceleration. Question number 9. What is the momentum of an object of a mass m moving with the velocity v? So dear student, we know that the definition of the momentum. What is the momentum? Momentum is the product of the mass and the velocity. So here the answer is a D, right? The mass of the object is m, velocity is v. So momentum is equal to mass into velocity, product of mass and the velocity. So momentum is equal to m into v. So our answer is a D. Now question number 10. Using a horizontal force of the 200 Newton, we intend to move a wooden cabinet across a floor at a constant velocity. What is the friction force that will be exerted on the cabinet? So dear student, here the due to the horizontal friction force of a 200 Newton, we intend to move a wooden cabinet across the floor with a constant velocity. So when the object is moving with a constant velocity, the net external force is 0. So horizontal force and the friction force are same. So and so, right? When the horizontal force and the friction force are same, then and then only the floor cabinet moves across the floor with a constant velocity. So here the friction force acting on the cabinet and the floor is a 200 Newton, right? A force of a 200 Newton is applied in the forward direction. Thus, from the Newton's third law of the motion, an equal amount of the force will act in the opposite direction. This opposite force is the friction force exerted on the cabinet. Hence, the friction force of the 200 Newton is exerted on the cabinet. So dear student, I hope that you understand all the first 10 questions of the exercise of chapter number 9. Remaining question of the exercise we will discuss in the next video. So dear student, keep watching my video.